I have Verizon, so I felt personally attacked by this article. When I read it, I didn't really believe it, and actually found out that I was affected by this, which kind of sucked. But basically, Verizon has this app, as most carriers do. It's like the My Verizon app where you can log in and basically see like your data usage, and if you need to make changes to your account. T-Mobile has like the My T-Mobile app, or I'm sure AT&T has a similar app that they use. But basically, this app had defaults on your device, in terms of collecting your browsing history, location, apps, contacts, all in the name of helping the company understand your interests. And the program, which Verizon appears to automatically opt customers into, is called Verizon Customer Experience. Controls lays buried in the privacy page on the My Verizon app. And so it's kind of interesting because the app itself is not even necessary really to collect the information, a lot of the information that they're collecting, because as the network operator, they can collect your browsing history essentially through every single web request you make on a cellular network. Location obviously is happening through cell towers. Apps being installed can be probably figured out through some level of where that download is coming from, and and things like the contacts you probably can't get. But every person you call, they know. Obviously, you call them on their network, so they're going to know that. But this is just like on top, and then opting people into it by default, and then having it buried in the settings. I checked my Verizon app that I had on my phone, and the settings were on. I immediately turned them off, and then just deleted the app altogether. Don't have to worry about it anymore. But yeah, I'd say it's extremely just dishonest and misleading to have like an administrative app like that in terms of like managing your account, and that's the app that's doing these like bad things. It's not like a game or like some free thing where you kind of expect some level of trade-off, and they got to do their thing, so I get it. But here's like, I'm paying for your phone service, and here's the app for how you need to manage that account. And oh, by the way, once you install this app, we're going to have access to track everything to increase your services experience. And honestly, I've never had an increased experience. When people say we're going to collect information to create a better experience, how can a phone company make a better experience for me by knowing like my contacts? Like, all you need to do is give me fast connection, more towers, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's your job as the carrier. Like, it's just reliability of connection and speed, and maybe figure out what 5G is and if we're ever actually going to get it. That's like your experience that you need to work on, not the other stuff. But the customer experience is really, how can we upsell you to other Verizon services or their partners or everything else under that umbrella corporation. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of ticked about this one, but I'm not surprised if T-Mobile and AT&T do something similar. I'm sure I can dig up an article or two and figure it out, but I wouldn't be surprised by it one bit. What do you guys think?
These are data providers or data brokers. ISP is another data broker which has a lot of information, lot more information than some of the other apps and folks out there. The additional capability that a service provider like Verizon has is ability to, I guess, download a service plan and enable a SIM card and whatnot. There are
Mm-hmm.
some providers that will push a certain SIM plan, a service plan into your device. You can activate it, deactivate it. That also means they need and they collect this IMEI information about your device.
Yeah.
It means that you get to the real unique DID, device ID in there, and they can really track you
Yeah. That can't be
when you have that,
anonymized, can't be reset, can't be shifted or modified like a MAC address or something
like
else,
a
right?
MAC
Like,
address. And with Apple introducing or with the renewed MAC addresses and whatnot with the latest operating system, who can really ignore that and get back to the source, and that is where the IMEI and all of that comes in. So if you're installing that particular application, they likely has that information, and that is a unique thing, a differentiator for a service provider, that they can use that information, aggregate that, and then sell it to the other data brokers out there. I think that probably explains why they are requiring or collecting additional information. Obviously, they are using this information to sell it to other folks out there. They are selling your personal information. Then they are, why not additional information? Just like McDonald's asks, hey, do you want fries with that? Well, they'll say, do you want your device ID with that? And sell that additional information for an add-on too. This is the sad state of the industry. I think that is where it's getting worse by the day.
Wow. I have nothing to add to that. I mean, it is, and we talked early on when we were getting started with this thing. We talked about. I know Raju especially talked about. You know, you're an ad company. You may start out with something else, but as soon as you start collecting data and looking to monetize the data, your focus really goes to you being an ad company. And I think maybe the first steps into that is becoming this data broker company you just talked about. So it's almost sort of like we're seeing a pathway. You start at A, and any company could start at whatever their A is, but as soon as they start, collecting data, they start getting on that one pathway.
Yeah.
All roads lead to ads, your ad model.
And
And it
there is
feels like
a
that's where we're going with all this stuff.
here is an interesting thing. On one side, service providers want to go beyond a dumb data or dumb link provider, right? So that is where they want to add value, and they get into advertising business. And then we have companies like Google. They don't want to miss on this. There's a lot more information they can collect if they own the pipe. That's the reason Google or Google Fiber and all of those are coming at the other end, because they want to collect all as much information. They don't want to know what you're doing on Google or some of the other sites. They want to know every single activity, and that is the reason they are getting into Google Fiber, and so that they can pretty much track everything, all 100% network activity that is going on in there, right? And that is, I guess, the advantage the pipe providers like Verizon have today that Google doesn't. And that's why Google getting into Google Fi or Google Fiber, all of these are along the same lines, collecting as much data as possible in the name of selling that information, and directly or indirectly, directly through ads or indirectly to other third parties.